huge news. The Electoral Court has come out in favor of Jacob Zuma, saying that, well, he can be on the ballot and go to parliament if his party has enough seats to do that. This is huge and very surprising.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at what this actually means. Well, you may look at this and say, oh, I don't want Jacob Zuma because, he's a crook and a thief and whatever else. But the reality is this actually is really important because what it does is it eats into the ANC's majority. So where some analysts were predicting that the ANC could get anywhere between, say, 48% and possibly up to 56% of the vote, we've seen massive swings in the vote. This is making it very unlikely. So the actual vote statistics are now looking like the ANC is going to be, a 30% party run by 30%ers.
Yeah, the irony is rather palpable. So as I've said on this platform numerous times, before Zuma, ANC could maybe cobble 50%, huge surge before the election. With Zuma and MK, they've eaten 6% of the national vote. They've eaten 20% of the KZN vote, of the ANC, that is. And therefore, the ANC is really in the doldrums. It's really, they're going to get like high 30s at best. But what is more interesting is what are therefore the conditions for the potential coalitions or agreements after the election. Let us put down a few facts. Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, Cyril Ramaphosa, they don't see eye to eye on most things. Arguably, Jacob Zuma and Julius Malema get along, but not as well as one would think. So if Cyril stays with the ANC, which we think might happen, he has no choice but to work with people who aren't the EFF and who aren't the MK. It is as simple as that. I think the choices based on this court case and this judgment have narrowed down significantly for the ANC.
So it's becoming very interesting now going into the election cycle because, as you very rightly said, this does reduce a lot of everybody's opportunities in terms of what vote percentages they're going to take. But now we have to look at what this could possibly look like in terms of a coalition government. Yeah, it's not going to look good because effectively the coalition partners would have been three before. It would have been, remember, typically the top three parties being the ANC, the DA, and the EFF. Now we're looking at the ANC, the DA, the MK party, and then the EFF, because effectively all the statistics have shown us where the ANC, the EFF, and MK all go in competition, MK may eat into the ANC vote, but it obliterates the EFF vote. So all those votes effectively go to MK. So now you have to look at the potential coalition configuration that you could get. Well, the potential first configuration you could get would obviously be ANC, MK, and EFF. The problem is that you have personalities that don't necessarily agree. You potentially could get Zuma and Malema to agree on something, but they're not going to work with Cyril because Cyril has a vendetta now against Zuma. Remember what he's effectively done. And if you look at the cabinet configuration in the ANC, it looks very much like a lot of the hardcore commies, the Zuma type of individuals. They're all retiring. So you kind of left with the more Cyril-orientated crowd. So now you've got a very Cyril-configured ANC having to effectively work with, Malema or Zuma. That makes it it doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it very unlikely. The net result would then be that the most likely configuration is that either Cyril has to say, I've lost the fight, here's the party back, Zuma, it's yours, and then he retires, or he sides with the DA and hopes that the next 5 years means basically the death of Zuma. Once he's died, he can kind of continue to do whatever he does, and Zuma will never get to actually be president again. The alternative is, if the votes align, you could say ANC and EFF, but the ANC has already highlighted that capital flight would mean that the configuration with anything with the EFF, solely ANC and EFF, would be highly undesirable. So this really does open up numerous questions on the coalition front.
It really does, but also let us not forget what is the point of the EFF and MK? Is to take over the ANC, guys. These are all the babies of the ANC. They're all fractions of the ANC that have fractured out and become their own political parties. They all come from the ANC. So what do they want to do? Go back, take it over, and grift till the cows come home. The ANC knows that. The ANC doesn't want to be taken over by these people. At least with the DA or the IFP or someone else, they're going to understand the ANC exists. We can work with the ANC and we have no inhibitions or problems with it existing. We don't want to take it over. The DA doesn't want to take over the ANC. MK does. EFF does. So, this court case and this judgment really, to me, has solidified the fact that there will be some sort of government of national unity. It'll be the Moonshot Pact plus the ANC or something like that. The numbers won't align for anything else that makes sense for the ANC. The ANC will be dominant and will choose which partner to choose, as they still are an important part of politics. But I suspect they will choose the party that's going to allow it to exist materially for the next 5 years, and that's going to be the DA slash Moonshot Pact.
Yeah, and so you may look at this and say, yeah, but why would the DA want that? Yeah, but that's actually a lot easier to understand, right? The reason the DA would effectively want that to allow the ANC to continue is because fixing this place isn't exactly easy, though, is it? So, would you really want to be the one at the helm of government, basically looking at everything and then going, but we couldn't fix it? Because that would destroy any credibility of your party. Instead, it would be much better for you to allow the ANC to continue in its own existence, its own configuration, and say, yeah, but it's them. See what they did. It's a continuation of them. Basically allows you to almost like divvy some of the responsibility back to the party who broke it. In contrast, if you do anything with the EFF or even MK, that all comes with it great degrees of responsibility, actually of power relinquishing. So the ANC would actually have to be prepared to give up power at a national level. I really can't see that happening, mate. In which case, the only real logical configuration left is government and national unity. There is very little cards left for the ANC to play. And Zuma has
Indeed.
ensured that this is the case.
Indeed, indeed. So, Cyril, how do you feel now? Idiot. Pardoning someone who's going to screw you in the end. That's just karma. I really love it. Zuma, I think we should vote for MK now because he's going to really screw the ANC completely, force it into the corner it doesn't want to go into, which is the reasonable corner, the pragmatic corner with the DA and the IFP and the Free Front Plus and all the rest of them. And yeah, big losers today, ANC, big winners, MK, big winners, hopefully South Africa.